Welcome back, dear students. So let's continue with microbial interactions. If we go to consider microbial interactions, they can be classified in various forms. Sometimes we can see that they could be positive in nature, in which the interacting organisms could gain something, or they would get a benefit by the interaction, and they have been considered to be as the positive interactions. And we also have certain various other interactions where the presence of the microbe will give a negative impact onto the host. Now, in the case of pathogenesis or various diseases which we come across, we see that we get a negative effect by the presence of certain bacteria. They are negative type of interactions. But at the same time, when we have the bacteria lactobacillus within our gut, we get a positive effect. That is, we get a good gut health by the presence of the bacterium lactobacillus. So that is an example of a positive interaction. So commonly speaking, interactions of microbes could be either positive or they could be either negative. And at the same time, there are certain interactions which are quite obligatory. That is, it is a must that such an interaction should be present. Without such an interaction, the integrity of the community as well as the ecological sustenance of that particular organism would not be possible. So, some interactions, though they are being found to be beneficial, it requires that it is being found to be a must for the organism. Such obligatory positive interactions are referred to as mutualistic reactions, or it is a type of symbiosis also, where two organisms are being involved here. You can see A and B is being involved. A gives a positive interaction to B and B has a positive interaction with A, and this interaction is being found to be positive, and it has been found to be obligatory. Without the interaction, the existence of A and existence of B is not being possible. That is a type of mutualistic reaction. The most frequent example which we have of mutualism is in the case of lichens that we have. It is a symbiotic relationship between a fungal partner as well as an algal partner. Okay, the fungi and the algae are being found to be so associated in such a way that you cannot separate them, and the existence of the involved fungi as well as the algae is not possible individually. They require to be associated as a single organism by a mutualistic reaction. Now, the next type of interaction that we have is cooperation, in which an interaction between an organism A and B is needed, and it has been found to be positive in nature, but it is not quite what? Obligatory. That is, it is not a must that the organisms should be associated. Even without the interaction also, they can live. So that is an example of so that's the case of a cooperative reaction. Now, what is the example of a cooperation in the case of microbes? You can see that when a single colony of a microorganism is being put in a new media, it would have an extended lag period. And this is the time at which it takes to normally utilize to identify what is the particular substrate in that particular medium, and it has to produce the enzymes for the digestion of that particular substrate. So during this period of time, the different microbes or the different microbes of that particular colony will interact with each other in such a way that what will happen? They will have a beneficial environment between each other. That is, together they will try to degrade that particular substrate which is in the medium. So this is a kind of cooperation. During the lag period, first they are not able to overcome it or to degrade the substrate and utilize it and grow at a very rapid rate. That is not possible at the very beginning. And for that, when they are being put into a fresh media which is being new to them, they do have a lag period. And during this lag period, they interact with each other and they will overcome the lag. So, you know the situation, like even if they are not being together with the others, they could survive the situation. But by the presence of various other microbes, they would be able to overcome this lag period. Now, if you are having a new substrate, now I'm telling you a totally new xenobiotic or something is being introduced into the environment and some microbes are living there. If they are being found to be alone and if it is totally new to them, they would take some time so that they should identify what is the substrate, and then they will learn, okay, I need to produce this particular enzyme to degrade that particular xenobiotic. At the same time, if they are not alone and if they have another microbe together with them, might be one enzyme produced by one microbe would help them to degrade it in a benefit way, in an efficient way. So the case of cooperation in the case of microbes is happens mainly when they are put into a media and they have a lag period. During this lag period, to overcome the lag period, the microbes would interact with each other and reduce the lag period for the growth. And this type of interaction is not essential. They can live even if such an interaction has not been present, but they would take a longer lag period if the interaction was not there. So I guess you got an example of a case of cooperation. The next type of microbial interaction is commensalism, where two microbes A and B are being interacting, and A is giving a benefit to B, but B is not having any other interaction with to A, or B is not giving any positive interaction towards A. That is a case of commensalism. Now, what is an example for commensalism? Now, you consider an organism which needs a particular amino acid. Now, if I'm taking an example over here, Legionella pneumophila, it is a bacteria and it does not have the ability to synthesize cysteine. Cysteine is a sulfur-containing amino acid, and Legionella pneumophila cannot synthesize cysteine. But another organism called Flavobacterium brevis can produce cysteine. So the cysteine which has been produced by Flavobacterium can be utilized by Legionella. So that is a positive interaction. And since only one organism is giving a benefit to the other, it is referred to as a commensalism. And of course, this is not a obligatory reaction because other than this also, what happens? Legionella can survive. So I guess this is clear now. The other type of interactions that we have are the predatory reactions. Now the term predation is quite clear to you because we know about the predation which has been present in animals. That is, the predator, like a lion, is going and eating a deer. That is a type of a predatory reaction. So the same way here, just imagine, even in the microbes, some of the microbes could go and interact with some other and they would predate on certain various other life forms. That is a type of predatory reactions. One example of predation that we have is Dello-Vibrio, that is Bdellovibrio, Dello-Vibrio. It has been found to be predatory to various gram-negative bacteria. Now, for example, in the case of human pathogens, there are lots of human pathogens. Okay, and these these pathogenic bacteria are can be killed by the predatory Dello-Vibrio. Another example which we have is Didinium nasutum. Okay, I'll be taking it in detail, okay, but I'm just giving you some examples. Didinium, which is being found to be predatory on Paramecia. So, just like a lion killing a deer, okay, just like that, the bacteria will predate onto a particular host. And the one which is not host onto a prey, and the prey is being killed over here. So it can be now in such a way that so here you can see this is the thing. Sometimes it can be a bigger one which is predating another one, or the predator can be big and the prey can be small also. Such interactions can also be possible. That is, you don't look about the size about it. Such interactions in both the directions can happen. Okay, so that's the example of predation that which we had mentioned here for as your reference. Then we have another one called parasitism, where the parasite enters and it multiplies within the host. Of course, you know the example of the malarial parasite, uh, which is multiplies within the human host then and gives the disease called malaria for us. Okay. Now, another case is amenzilism. What is amenzilism? It is a type of negative interaction here. When two organisms A and B interact, if A gives an interaction with B and gives a negative effect, then we refer that to a case of amenzilism. Now, what is the example of Eminencialism? Now, I'll tell you one example. When particular organism is growing in the environment and it is producing an antibiotic which is inhibiting the growth of the other organisms. That is a case of amensilism. Then one specific example that we have is now if you're having thiobacillus thiooxidans, okay, it is a type of bacteria which can utilize the sulfate, oxidize sulfur, and it produces large amount of sulfuric acid. So this sulfuric acid can inhibit the growth of various other microorganisms in the environment. That is also a case of amensilism. So by the production of certain microbial substances as well as various other uh, antibiotics or something like that, they inhibit the growth of other microbes. That is a case of amensilism. Now, what is a case of competition? Competition is nothing but it's just like that. We compete for a prize in a running race, or we compete to get a first prize in sometimes various fields that we have. The same way here, the microbes they compete with each other for the resources which have been present in the surface in the environment. So one outcompetes the other for the site's resources. That could be a case of competition, or they coexist at low levels due to their sharing or their limiting resources. Such a case also would be there as a part of competition. So I guess you got an idea about what are the different types of microbial interactions in general. We would be talking with specific examples of mutualism, parasitism, amensilism, competition, etc., which would happen in the microbial environment, in their ecological niches, as well as what are their interactions specifically. Like there are some plant interactions, there are insect interactions, what are the animal interactions or which are being carried out with by microbes specifically. We will be dealing on them in the coming sessions. Thank you for now.